At some point, you got to decide for yourself who you're going to be. Can't let nobody make that decision for you. Something in you responded to that. You didn't just process the words, you felt them. And that's not by accident. When we watch someone express emotion, our brains respond almost instantly. Mirror neurons activate and allow us to simulate what we're seeing, to feel what someone else might be feeling. Neuroscientists call this theory embodied simulation. We don't just observe stories, we experience them. We're wired for that, wired to look for ourselves in other people's stories, wired to search for connection. So naturally, I've spent most of my life searching for that connection, for how things fit. That search led me to science. I love the structure, the systems, the logic, how it made things make sense. But it wasn't the answers that I loved most. It was the questions. I wanted to understand how the world worked, to understand what was happening beneath the surface. Then there was theater. Theater taught me how to listen differently, how to feel with someone instead of just thinking about them. And for the first time, I wasn't just understanding the world, I was learning to understand my place in it. Suddenly, understanding wasn't just about molecules, it was about people. It was about stepping inside of someone else's story and feeling your own perspective stretch. For a long time, I thought I had to choose between science and art, between creativity and structure, between passion and purpose, between head and heart. I was searching for where I belonged. And as a black man, I learned early that belonging could be granted in one moment and revoked in the next. So I became careful. I learned how to read the room before I could read myself. I learned how to manage my tone and my presence. I got really good at being acceptable, exceptional. But I'm not sure I ever really felt like I belonged. So I kept starting over. I left science for theater, later theater for teaching, and eventually the classroom for leadership. Each time I told myself I was looking for the right fit. And maybe I was. But I was also looking for a space where more of me could fit. I landed a job that I thought was it. Visible, creative, a national scope, the kind of job you can point to and say, hey, it all worked. And yet, something still felt off. In that space, the very things that made me effective, my curiosity, my creativity, my commitment, and my passion, became things to manage. So I softened my edges, shortened sentences, lowered my volume, and smiled. I had understood the expectations. I had mastered the systems. I was exceptional. I was acceptable. But I'm not sure I was ever understood. I was constantly shrinking myself to fit into a space that told me I was too much at some point. You've got to decide for yourself who you're going to be. Can't let nobody make that decision for you. One day, we had made it to the end of an all-staff meeting, and it was time for shout-outs. There was a lively round of praise and recognition, and leadership made the final call. Going once, going twice, and my hand shot up like it had a mind of its own. I stood up, and I said, I want to thank me. A pause. There was some laughter, a shift in the room. And in that moment, I even surprised myself. You see, I thought I wanted recognition or visibility. But standing there, I realized something different. It wasn't about being seen. It was about being whole. Whole meant my value didn't depend on choosing the acceptable pieces of myself for the room. It depended on bringing all of me into it. For years, I thought not fitting in meant I hadn't figured it out, that I was behind. But looking back, it was just me discovering new parts of myself. The scientist, he never left. The artist never disappeared, and the teacher never faded. I just needed to understand that they were allowed to exist together. So I stopped breaking myself into pieces. And when I did, my work changed. I left that national role and moved toward work that felt closer to me and closer to belonging, because what I realized is that belonging isn't about fitting in. It's about having the space to stand fully as yourself. Today, I help build spaces where it is safe to be whole, where intellect and expression sit at the same table, where passion and purpose aren't opposites, and where young people don't have to fracture themselves to belong. And those young people, they're watching and learning from us. They're learning what adulthood allows and who success makes room for. When we dare to stand in our wholeness, confidently, calmly, and without apology, we create a world that makes space for all of us. And we show young people a future where they won't have to decide between who they are and where they're going. Because at some point, they're going to decide for themselves who they're going to be. And we can't let nobody make that decision for them. Thank you.